Good evening, Robert Scribbler with an OBX wave report filming remote from Portugal. I did just get finished with a marathon set of travel days, basically 3 state days of travel, and whoo, am I tuckered, but nonetheless, I'm going to give you guys the wave report for the Outer Banks from my remote location here in Lisbon. We are going to be boarding a ship tomorrow, and we are going to be trekking across the North Atlantic. We're going to be stopping in Madeira and in the Azores and in Bermuda, and we hope to get some amazing footage for you guys. This is a wonderful adventure my wife and I are embarking on for our 20th anniversary. So we're really excited, and I'm going to mix in some great wave footage for you guys. Hopefully, we shall see. It's very stormy up here in the North Atlantic, so we might actually see some rather large waves, depending on our location. We'll see what kind of footage we can get for you, though. Right now, way back in the States, in the Outer Banks, the waves are in the range of about 2 to 4 foot, pretty choppy for the east-facing beaches in the Outer Banks generally, as a big old cold high pressure system kicks in some northerly and northeasterly winds over the Outer Banks, bringing in cooler weather conditions generally. So let's get down to the wave observations for the Outer Banks, starting with position to the north for Virginia Beach at 2 foot plus and slightly choppy conditions. At Nag's Head, we've got 2 to 4 foot waves with choppy conditions, and a northeast swell at 3.4 foot and 8 seconds. Pretty frequent swell there with those northeast winds coming in at 15 miles per hour. Air temperatures much cooler at 53 degrees behind the front, and ocean water temperatures also cooling down with those cooler air temperatures at 64 degrees. You guys are looking toward a low tide this evening between 6 and 7 p.m. for the east-facing beaches. At Rodanthe, very similar conditions at 2 to 4 foot and choppy, and northeast swell a little bit beefier there at 4.2 foot and 8 seconds. Very frequent, coming in with that onshore flow of northeasterly winds at 18 miles per hour. We've got 53-degree air temperatures and ocean water temperatures at 67. A bit warmer down there in Rodanthe nonetheless. Pretty much 2-3 mil wetsuit conditions all up and down the Outer Banks right now. And at Buxton right now, we've got 3 to 4 foot waves, choppy conditions, northeast swell coming in at 4.3 foot and 8 seconds. So once again, a bit heavier surf down there in Buxton, driven in by those northeast winds at 18 miles per hour. We got 55-degree air temperatures. Ocean water's a bit warmer down there at Buxton at 70. Not quite as cold, but with those air temperatures, you're definitely going to want your full suit unless you're very hardy in the cooler water conditions. Okay, and last of all at Frisco. Frisco is actually probably going to be the cleaner wave spot for the Outer Banks for most of this week, as a lot of the flow is going to be northerly and either northeast, northwest, or north. And at Frisco, with that south-facing beach, you get that offshore flow, the wraparound swell. So generally better wave conditions at Frisco this week, with right now 2 foot plus swell and semi-clean conditions. Okay, looking at data from the National Weather Service, the National Hurricane Center, and the Wave Watch 3 model. We do have that high pressure system that has moved off the U.S. East Coast, bringing in those cold northerly and northeasterly winds and choppy conditions. And this general northward flow, northerly, northeast, northwesterly flow is expected to continue through the weekend. So not much hope for clean waves over the next few days, looking into the weekend. So the south-facing beaches, once again, looking at your most favorable conditions for clean waves. Nonetheless, there are still waves to be had, and if you're just waiting for the ideal wave, you're not always honing your surf skills. So Though choppy, not as good as the recent Tammy swell we've had, and certainly not as good as the amazing September that we had. There's still waves. So, and waves are something to celebrate, regardless of how good or bad they are. Looking at reports from the National Hurricane Center, there is one disturbance that the National Hurricane Center has been monitoring over the past few days. The system is in the Caribbean. It's moving toward the west. It's very disorganized right now. Only a 20% chance of developing over the next 7 days, but we'll keep our eyes on it to see if it turns into anything. We are very far up on the rolls for tropical systems. We're up to T, so not very many named storms left before we get into like the zetas and zeds and epsilons and gammas or whatever. But also we are kind of winding down for the hurricane season this year as we get into early November. Hurricane season typically runs through November 30th. Doesn't mean you can't get tropical cyclones outside of hurricane season, but it's much less frequent that you do. It's climatologically less likely that you're going to get storms. As you get out of hurricane season, and even November tends to be a month where storms are less frequent, but nonetheless, they can still form, so we'll still keep an eye on it for you guys. And last of all, since we are up here in the region of the North Atlantic has been very stormy lately. We just passed through London area, Gatwick Airport. There was some major flooding around the area, shut down some of the trains, and powerful storm bringing in some up to 100-mile-an-hour wind gusts across England. Out in the North Atlantic Ocean, just to the south and east of England, significant wave heights up to 40 foot or more. And then there's another storm just coming in right behind it in that region. So for many of the north-facing beaches and locations that we're going to be heading to on our cruise, we might see some big, beautiful swells blown out of the North Atlantic from these various storms. So we're going to be keeping an eye out for those, seeing if we can get some good wave footage for you guys as we go on our adventure across the Atlantic Ocean. All right, so thank you for joining me for this remote session of the OBX Wave Report from Lisbon, Portugal, which is a gorgeous city. I know I'm just filming from my room, but I am exhausted. I have just traveled for 3 days straight. The next video I will provide for you will be much more scenic. So thank you for joining me once again, and I will be back with you shortly.